All right, man. Another good night of hoops tonight, bro. We got Knicks at Pistons, dude. Has been probably the best series of the first round, arguably. It's definitely like top two at the very minimum. Knicks Pistons was just a great series. I'm sad that it's over, man. I really do firmly believe that the Pistons had great chances to win both of the last two games. If Cade Cunningham makes that mid-range jump shot in the last game, they win. Or if they call the foul on the Tim Hardaway Jr. three-pointer, they win. In this game, it's if Malik Beasley catches the ball, you might go to OT. Or if Jalen Brunson doesn't hit you with the meanest pullback of all time, you probably win the game. So it sucks for Detroit, man, but it's very obvious that they are a very, very good, a very promising team. They've got a very bright future ahead of them. So let's just go ahead and get into it, man. Bridges, a phenomenal game for the Knicks, dude. He was, for a lot of this game, their most like consistent offensive player, especially in the second half when Jalen Brunson started to get a little more inefficient. He was 11 for 16, only 1 for 4 from three, but 11 for 16, 25 points, and him and OG were kind of splitting the Cade Cunningham assignment. Now, I don't know what the numbers say, but based on my eye test, OG did a better job on Cade. But they both had a big impact in the way that Cade was just inefficient, not just this game, but for a lot of the series. Jalen Brunson, dude, came out in the first half in the way that Charles Barkley said he came out in the first half, the way that he wanted Cade to come out. And I kind of agree with that. I wanted Cade to come out and be super efficient, and he wasn't. But Jalen Brunson in the first half was absolutely hooping. I think he might have been like 8 for 13 or something in the first half. Like, he was hooping. He ended up having a pretty inefficient game, 40 points on 33 shots, 3 for 10 from three. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't his best game, but it definitely wasn't a bad one. He did take over in the clutch and show you why he is the clutch player of the year, because that snatch back into that 3-point shot, the little celebration where he's holding the three up like this and everything like that, it was just nuts. It was an absolutely phenomenal shot. I couldn't hate it all. I kind of do think he hooked Asar Thompson a little bit on that shot, but I mean, you don't call that. So whatever, I'm not mad at it. Asar Thompson, you were really doing your best, dude. There's not like you held Brunson to a pretty inefficient game while you were 5 for 7 for 17 points yourself, 7 to 10 at the line. You had a good game. You're a young player. You're going to continue to get better. Hopefully, you and your brother can both learn to develop a jump shot at least partially, maybe like a mid range at least. Like damn, but he was doing a lot of things. He was getting some big rebounds for his team. I feel like. So it was a good game from him. It's always tough because it's like he wasn't in foul trouble today for real, but he's always getting fouls that just kind of are like, damn, you know what I'm saying, right when the Pistons are getting momentum, and that's just because Jalen Brunson's really good at foul baiting, really good at getting those foul calls. So it's whatever. OG Anunoby had a good game. Wasn't his best game, wasn't a super efficient game, but he did have 22 points, 5 boards. Was probably the best primary defender on Cade today, which is a big thing because Cade had an inefficient game, as I mentioned. Malik Beasley, up until that final play, had his best game of the series. 6 for 13 from three, hit only threes today, 20 points. I mean, you got to catch that ball at the end. Even if you do, there's no guarantee you make the shot. But if you catch that ball, you're wide open, and you're probably sending the game to OT. So, but it's tough. I mean, I would rather him catch it and miss the shot than him not catch it at all and don't get the shot up. That's just a bad look, especially with all the trash he's been talking throughout this series, like how the other day I mentioned he said he quote tweeted somebody that said Mikal was going to get 44 in this game, and he said what minutes, and then I saw somebody quote tweet him back, and it was like, I think it was like a video of him dropping that pass, and it's just like, man, that's tough, especially when you talk so much trash talking about I'm the best 3-point shooter in the world. I love the confidence, but yeah, you're not, but like I love the confidence. Tobias Harris, man, he had a pretty good series. He probably had like, I think he only had one real stinker. He might have had a few games that were like a little inefficient, but in this game, 6 for 10. You want him to shoot more threes, but literally nobody on the team could shoot threes outside of Malik Beasley, and like literally nobody. Like they hit 9 threes as a team. Malik Beasley hit 6 of them hoes. So while the Knicks couldn't hit threes either, the Pistons were even worse at hitting threes. I think they literally went what I think the broadcast showed that they were like 1 for 7 or something in the second half on threes. That's just not good enough. So yeah, but Tobias Harris, pretty good game. Had a pretty good series overall. So good for him. Great in Detroit. I thought this game was over in the first quarter. The way Brunson came out, the way Mikal Bridges came out, I was fully convinced that this game was over. They were up like 15, I think, at one point in the first quarter, and then Detroit came out, and it was all Detroit in the second quarter. And then kind of a similar thing happened in the second half, where out of halftime it was all New York, and then all New York for pretty much all of the third quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, it was Pistons. There was all Pistons. And then, I mean, they didn't end up winning the game, but like it's hard to win a game when you allow 37 in two separate quarters and you score 23 and 24 in those quarters respectively. It's hard. Now, while you did hold the Knicks to 22 in the second and 20 in the fourth, it's just tough when you, like, if you would have outscored them the way in the fourth quarter, the way you did in the second quarter, you win this game by a landslide. But you didn't, and it's just tough when you're at home and you give up two 37-point quarters. You lose each of those quarters by 13 and 12 points, or 13 and 14 points. It's tough. Cat, I was very not impressed with you this game. I think you've got to be a lot more aggressive offensively. There is no scenario ever in which you should be shooting less shots than OG, less shots than Mikal Bridges. That just should never happen. You should never be shooting the fourth most shots on this team. You shot as many shots as OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson shot threes. They both shot 10 threes. You shot 10 shots. It's not enough. You're making $50 million. I want to see more from you, and that's definitely not going to fly when you've got to face Boston in the next round. Cade, I've already talked about you, and this is something I wrote down in my notes in the first half, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I just said Cade has to be better if the Pistons want to win. I wrote that at halftime going into the second half, and I really was hoping he would come out there and have a second half explosion, and for a while it was looking like the Pistons were going to win without him even doing that. Didn't happen. 0 for 8 from 3 it's a tough one. 0 for 8 from 3, 9 for 22 from the field, 23 points. You led your team in scoring, but Jalen Duren had 21, which is 2 less points than you on only 9 shots to your 22. Malik Beasley had 20 on 13 shots. It just wasn't your best game. Asar Thompson, 17 on 7 shots. Tobias Harris, 14 on 10 shots. And Tobias Harris, dude, was a minus 23 in this game, so maybe it wasn't really his best game, but I don't know. I wasn't super locked into the first half, because like I said, I thought the game was going to be over. But then I was watching the second half pretty closely, but I wasn't paying as much attention to Tobias Harris in this game as I was in other games where he was being a big disruptance to Cat. So I don't know why he was a minus 23. I might have to go back and look at some things to see why that was. But yeah, like I said, Asar Thompson, pretty solid game. Cat fouled out, which is tough. And, dude, when he fouled out, the funniest thing about this game, the arena played Hit the Road, Jack. You know what I'm talking about? The Ray Charles song, Hit the Road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. They played that song, and I thought that was hilarious. Didn't end up mattering because you lose the game, but I did think that was hilarious. I thought that was petty, and I love that energy from a team like Detroit, from a city like Detroit. I love that. Nuggets at Clippers. Clippers force a game 7. And honestly, going into this game, I have no idea who I think is going to win, because it's the Clippers have been better for the majority of the series, but it's still tied 3-3. And then there's quarters like tonight where it's that fourth quarter, man, just wasn't good enough. It was good enough for you to win the game, don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't a great fourth quarter. You get out, let me look at the exact number. You get outscored in that fourth quarter, 26-21, so it's not bad, but it's you're coming off of quarters where you outscored them 33-29 in the second quarter and then 32-22 in the third quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, you just lose by 5. Now, there was just so many bonehead plays that I'm looking at where it's the offense isn't looking good, things like that. But then you get saved on the other end because Russell Westbrook misses a wide open layup, and then he misses a wide open 3, and then he goes for another layup and gets packed by Nicholas Batum, who had a great game, by the way. Nicholas Batum had great minutes, was doing pretty much everything on the court for the Clippers. I think I saw a stat that he leads. The series in blocks, which is, he learns something new every day. Great defensive possessions late in the game from Zubac on Jokic. There was 2 possessions, 2 out of the last 3 or 4 Nuggets possessions were just great plays on Zubac from Jokic, and there were moments where I'm used to Jokic getting that call where he didn't get it today, but I wasn't mad that he didn't get it. I was just expecting a whistle to be blown, but it wasn't. So I wasn't mad for that. But Westbrook, even though you did sell that layup, that open 3, and then the other layup, you had a second straight good game. And I'm not gonna lie to you, while I am giving you props for that, you had a 14-point double-double on 10 shots off the bench. Even though you missed that wide open 3, you shot 2 for 4 for 3. You didn't have a bad game at all. In fact, you had a good game. But that worries me for Game 7 because damn, he just had 2 great games in a row, or 2 at least good games in a row, and the last game was great. He might come out here in Game 7 and do nothing good. Now, I don't necessarily believe that'll happen because it's going to be in Denver, but I wouldn't be shocked if it happened either. Clippers free throws, man, made all the difference in this game. The Nuggets shot 6 for 9. That's it. But then the Clippers go out there and shoot 13 for 15. Neither team was getting a whole bunch of whistles. It wasn't It wasn't a game that was filled with fouls the way that we've seen a lot of these playoff series be in certain games, but this one, The Clippers hitting 13 out of 15 free throws versus the Nuggets only hitting 6 of 9, only getting to the line 9 times. That was a really, really big difference in this game. So credit to the Clippers. And it was all Clippers to start second half. It was a close game at halftime. I don't remember what the exact score was, but it was a close game at halftime. And then it was all Clippers to start the third quarter, and then they just dominated the third quarter. Jokic, early in the game, he was frying. Like, I'm talking about, I think he was like 9 for 13 or something. Like, he was really, really frying early in the game. And then he had a pretty inefficient second half, but and it was the same way for Jamal Murray, dude. Jamal Murray came out of the gates, and I'm thinking, dude, he's about to drop 40 again. Like, no way. This man just hates LA teams. And then he slowed down very, very quickly. Aaron Gordon had a solid game, but then you're 1 for 6 from 3. Not good enough. Michael Porter Jr., 24 minutes, so I don't know if he went out with an injury or something. If he did, I missed it. But in the minutes he was in, they weren't good. He was a minus 24 in the minutes he was in, so they just weren't great minutes. For the Clippers, it was a much, much needed James Harden game after he hasn't had, like, he's had a pretty good series, but, like, this was a game where you really, really needed James Harden, especially after the last game where he didn't give you that much. He was frying early in the game. Norman Powell, Zubac, and Kawhi all did their part. Now, Zubac was only 5 for 6 for 10 points. But, like, his defense on Jokic in this series has been pretty much the best you can ask for, like, outside of that Jokic 30-20 game. So good for him. Kawhi, not his most efficient game, but 50% from the field. You want him to shoot a little better from 3 than he shot, but not a bad game. Same with Norman Powell. Norman Powell was efficient, but not super efficient from 3. But this was probably Norman Powell's best game of the series, if I'm remembering correctly. If not, it's like top 2. So it was a much-needed game for him. It was a much-needed game for James Harden, who had the 28 and 8 assists. Kawhi had the 27-point, 10-board, double-double. So they got big minutes and big games out of the guys that they needed to. I'm interested for Game 7. It's in Denver. I think it is Sunday, but I'm not 100% sure. But, yeah, man, I'm interested. I don't know who's going to win that Game 7. I picked Clippers in 7, so I'm going to stick with that pick. But, man, betting against the best player in the world in a Game 7 is a tough one. Now, after they blew a 20-point lead in Game 7 at home against Minnesota last year, it's very possible that they lose this game. And it's not insane to bet against him as it would be as you might think it would be. But I really don't know. I'm picking the Clippers, like I said, but I'm not confident in the pick at all. So, yeah, man, it was a good night of hoops. Love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching. All glory to God as always. Let me know what y'all thought about tonight's night of hoops. I'm excited for the Warriors to go ahead and spank the Rockets tomorrow in that series. Yeah, man. Hope for those of y'all that got finals going on right now, trust me too. Good luck with them. Stay grinding and just lock in for this last week or 2 of the semester, whatever you've got left. For me, I've got a couple more presentations to record and then like 2 more exams and 1 more project. And then I'm done. And believe it or not, even with all that left, most of the difficult stuff is done somehow. So thank God. So for those of y'all that got the finals and stuff going on, good luck. For those of y'all that are graduating, congratulations. And for those of y'all that might be just be in high school and you've got like a month left to school, I'm praying for you, buddy, because that's a long time. All right, love y'all, man.